morning. I'm Hatim Kheir, counsel for the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. The first topic I wanted to ask you about is the power for border agents to turn people away if they were coming to participate in a protest under the Emergencies Act. So you testified that that was one of the powers that was granted to border agents by the emergency regulations?
Yes.
And you were also asked about the ability of border agents to turn away people who are coming for a known unlawful purpose, and they could do that if they knew about that, correct?
Before or after?
Before the emergency measures were.
Well, it wasn't an unlawful protest at that point in time, before the Emergencies Act, right?
Right, but you were asked if you knew someone was if your agents, knew that an individual was coming to enter the country in order to engage in unlawful activity, your agents could turn that person away, correct?
If it was not for a lawful purpose, yes, they can turn somebody around.
Right. And you indicated that one of the problems with that is that your agents would actually have to know that a person is coming for that purpose, which could be difficult, right?
Yes.
Okay. And under the emergency regulations, your agents could turn someone away if they were known to be coming to engage in a certain kind of prohibited public gathering that might breach the peace through listed.
Known or suspected.
Right. So, but your agents would then face the same problem in terms of having to identify a person's intentions, correct?
Well, a standard question for a foreign national is, what's the purpose of your visit to the country, right? And so that would just lead you down a line of questioning that the officer then would decide whether or not the person was prohibited from entry or not.
Right, and the same thing would happen if a person's purpose for coming was an unlawful reason, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the other topic I wanted to ask you, so you described how the CBSA was able to help facilitate obtaining tow trucks by waiving the requirement for a work permit to enter the country, correct?
A little bit broader than that, but essentially, yes. So basically, with the agreement with the United States for emergency vehicles, where we got many communities that share access to these vehicles to help each other out, is we would facilitate the entry of those vehicles to participate in whatever the event was, notwithstanding the fact that they didn't have a work permit.
Okay. So under the normal circumstances, there's some sort of a regulation, I assume, that requires them to have a work permit?
Well, under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, you have to have one of the requirements for entry would be a valid work permit.
Right. So, and just trying to understand how that actual process worked, would it fall under the discretion that border agents have when they're enforcing these laws to simply
I believe it's just a memorandum of understanding that we have with our American counterparts to facilitate emergency vehicles for the purpose of participating in resolving whatever the issue is.
Right. But would I be correct in thinking that that would operate as an exercise of the border agent's discretion to simply not apply what would normally be a requirement for entry into the country?
Well, I don't know that the individual officer would do that. I think that would probably it would go a little bit further up the command chain in terms of saying, yes, this is where we're going to invoke this memorandum, for lack of better words, to facilitate the entry of the emergency vehicles.
Okay, but what I'm trying to get at is the operation of law that's happening here. It's a decision not to apply a law that normally exists,
yes,
right?
So yes, officers have discretion.
Right, okay. Now, we heard yesterday from Deputy Commissioner Curtis Zablocki that one of the things that RCMP tried to do in Coots was to obtain tow trucks from the United States, but some of them couldn't actually come and help because they were unvaccinated. Did the CBSA waive any of the vaccine requirements for tow truck drivers to come and help?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you for answering them.